What is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Matt.
I'm Shawnee.
And today we're going to be doing a 2023 wrap-up / 2024 goals. Just kind of like a general end-of-year video. You probably see a lot of these around this time of year. Mm-hmm. You might be tired of them, but we haven't put ours out yet, so we wanted to do it. So first we're going to be talking about each of our top 5 books. My top 5 and Shawnee's top 5, separate lists. And so 10 total books in this video. We're not going to go too far in depth in each of them. So if we have a review, I'll try to do my best to link those videos in the description. And if we don't have a review yet and you want to hear our review, please let us know in the comments and we can see if we can make that happen. We would love to make that happen. If you want to see it, we want to make it.
Yeah.
So starting with number 5, going down to 1, my first book, number 5,
right?
Go up to 1.
Up to 1.
We're starting with our 5th favorite and ending with our absolute favorite.
Yes.
However you want to quantify that in your brain. Here is my 5th favorite book of the year that I read, and that is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I really, really liked this book. I want to say loved, but there are some things that
they were like,
they were just like, whatever. But I love the action. I love the dragons. I'm kind of so on romance. So it's my first experience with like actual romance scenes, and I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. It kind of makes me uncomfortable, but I'm a big boy. I'll be fine. So my number 5 is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. What about you?
My number 5 is One for My Enemy by Olive E. Blake. And I was so excited for this book because it was a Romeo and Juliet inspired, not necessarily retelling, but inspired modern day in New York with 2 different covens of witches. One is a female family and one's a male family. And so that's kind of where the Romeo and Juliet inspired, romance family rift comes in. And I just loved her writing and loved the story.
So my number 4 is Jade War by Fonda Lee. The second book in the Greenbone saga. I just love the political drama and the fight sequences, and there were so many oh crap moments.
Yeah.
And I remember reading them and like telling you like literally, oh no.
Maybe it's some more colorful language.
Yeah, in some more choice words is how it came out in the moment. But just this book, this series is so far from what I've read filled with those moments. Mm-hmm. Anyways, my number 4 for 2023 was Jade War by Fonda Lee.
My number 4 for 2023 is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I heard him say before I had decided my final list that he put Iron Flame on his. And I was like, ooh, did I like Iron Flame more than Fourth Wing? And I feel like my brain was like, no, you like Fourth Wing more. So I was like, oh, okay. We'll just go with that instead of trying to overanalyze it. I think I did because of the world building and first getting to see the dragons, even though Iron Flame was just so... The end of Iron Flame was so action-packed, I guess I would say. Is that a spoiler?
I mean...
It's a dragon book.
It's the end of the book. They could probably expect.
Yeah, it's a fantasy dragon book. There's going to be. Let us know, I guess, since we had both of the Empyrean books on our list for this year. Did you like Iron Flame or Fourth Wing better out of the 2?
Or are you one of the people who don't like it at all?
Let us know that
and
too.
Hate us because we enjoy them. So my number 3 for this year is Red Rising, the first book in the series of the same name by Pierce Brown. And this was another one that has quite a bit of brutality. It's very, very fast-paced. You can think of it as like a sci-fi Hunger Games vibe. I can't say too much because, well, one time, and that's just, I don't want to spoil anything. It's just, it moves very fast. Keep that in mind. And we'll get into my plans later in the video, but I will be finishing this series next year. So yeah, number 3 was Red Rising by Pierce Brown.
My number 3 is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Such a fun book, so cute. I liked the at sea, I'll say at sea, because if you've read it, you know, aspect of Tress, and that really has made me want to read a few more what do you call it? Wayfarer?
Nautical fantasy.
So I'm not sure exactly what I'm wanting out of it, but I really liked the on a boat at sea aspect of Tress, and I might want more of that in another book. So we'll see if I pick something up like that later next year. I don't really have any plans for it, but I really love Tress. It was so, I would say, cutesy, epic fantasy, if I could call it something. I just loved it.
So my number 2 And I kind of wrestled with this for a second because it's a very close race between 1 and 2 for me. If you know my reading taste, my typical reading taste at all, you might be surprised to hear me say that my number 2 book of 2023 is Lessons in Chemistry by, what's her first name?
Bonnie Garmis.
Bonnie Garmis, or is it Garmu?
Oh, I've heard people say Garmis.
Garmis.
But
We'll say
that might
Garmis.
just be Americans mispronouncing names.
We are Americans. We will do that. So number 2 is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. I read this for a like reading out of my comfort zone video that I did in the month of May. But man, I loved this story, and I don't know what it was that made me love it so much, because I have been pretty set in my ways when it comes to books. It's like fantasy, sci-fi, and horror, and those 3 genres is pretty much where I sit. That's my happy place. And so you throw in would you say like a general fiction story about a really smart female living in the 50s trying to be a scientist, a chemist, I think specifically, and just detailing there's stories of like heartbreak and grief and her overcoming the hardships of just her environment that is created by men who look down on women, which was the norm back then. There are moments that really, for lack of a better word, pissed me off, knowing that was reality. And I don't know, there were a lot of emotions, and I cried a couple times.
I didn't know you cried in that book.
I cried. My eyes got wet.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a great book. I think it was well worth the Book of the Year title that was given last year. Yeah, that is the book that has kind of opened my eyes to other genres. So now I'm a little more open to
non-fantasy sci-fi horror books.
Getting out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, because if you watch the video, you'll know that I probably can't do it too much.
Yeah.
It's my comfort zone for a reason.
Maybe for the top literary fiction books of the year.
Yeah,
not
just the best
book.
of the best, not just any old literary fiction book. Anyways, number 2 was Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis.
My number 2 of 2023 is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, and I really debated putting this book number 1 because I just almost instantly fell in love with this book. These characters, the world, the magic system is very subtle, at least in the first book. The second book actually comes out in 2023, and I'm reading it the day that it comes out.
2023 or 24?
2023. It comes out in like 3 weeks, so...
Oh, like at the end of December?
Yeah, it could possibly be on this list, but who knows? Maybe we'll do like a little shorts upload if it meets the list, because I loved this book so much. The magic system is just like, it incorporates typewriters, but then there's also these like mythology gods that are like waging this war that's been going on for a long time, that's now at like the forefront of the story. And the cliffhanger on book 1, oh my gosh. I don't know if you remember, we were sitting on the couch reading together, and I finished the book and I just like went under the blanket that I had on because I was like, I have to be alone right now. I was like, So that book comes out, the second book, Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, comes out in like 3 weeks, the week following Christmas. So I'm so excited.
So you can read it when we go out of town.
I'm off work that week, so I'm gonna binge it. Yeah.
She'll come hang out at the coffee shop and just read all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
So that was my number 2. Possibly could be number 1, but I did put it in the number 2 spot. But I absolutely adored this book. If you haven't read it and you like any type of romance fantasy, pick it up.
She really did enjoy that.
Yeah.
So much so that I'll probably read it next. Well, we don't own it, do we? You read it on the library? Right.
I read it from Libby. I checked it out from the library, and hopefully whenever...
So we'll wait for it to come on paperback.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting on to own it.
Cool.
That's my number 2.
Okay, so here we are. Our number 1 pick. Mine is going to go to Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson.
Well deserved.
This is my number 1. So if you looked at my ratings on Goodreads, you wouldn't think that it would be my number 1. But I have it at my number 1 for a reason. Reasons, probably. I feel like the story itself, there are some things that need to change, or that I would like to have changed. The reason it's my number 1 is because this is the most fun reading experience I've ever had.
Really?
In my life. Yeah, I loved the adventure. I loved like being a part of like this is the start of the secret projects.
Mm-hmm.
Also turned out to be the best secret project. Yeah, I don't, from any book that I've read this year, I did not have just the enjoyment of reading the same way that I did reading Tress. I loved pretty much each and every character. I loved the protagonist a heck of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a weird way to say it. I really liked Tress. She was
an awesome character.
Yeah, she's a great character. Great world building as always. Great magic system as always. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I could ramble on about Tress forever. I feel like I'm wrestling with myself right now and trying to justify why it's not my favorite book, but it is my favorite book of this year because I don't know. I feel like I'm justifying it because I only gave it like 4 stars,
but like
4.5, and it wasn't 5 stars. But like I said, there are some story elements that I think should be different for me to give it 5 stars. But the reading experience was unmatched, and for that reason, it is my number 1.
Yeah, I agree that favorites are based a lot on experience with the book.
So, had that book, if it wasn't a secret project, and maybe it would be different. Maybe, I don't know. I think that definitely has something to do with it because that was a big draw for me, is like getting to be a part of history. You know, like we were a part of one of the biggest Kickstarters ever.
Yeah.
And we got to, I mean, it was only like 10 or 14 days early getting to read it. I don't know. Anyways, all of that rambling to say, my number 1 book for 2023 is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson.
My number 1 book of the year is Jade Legacy. This didn't make it. Well, you didn't finish it. You stopped it. We were talking about this. Yeah. Jade War was on your list.
You can see from the coffee stain where my bookmark was.
Oh, that's so funny. If you can't see it. Anyways, my favorite book of the year is Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. This is probably my favorite series as of now that I've read. I love these characters. I cried at the end of this book.
I haven't finished it, so just be careful what you say.
Oh yeah, I miss the characters in this world. I will 100% be rereading this trilogy. I love it. I bet
you're so anxious for me to finish so we can talk about it.
Absolutely. Yes. So next year I will probably press him a little bit to read it. No, I won't, because if I do, then he's gonna not want to read it. He has to want to read his books himself.
That's true.
But I hope that he does finish it. The characters are just so well rounded, and they feel like actual people because they are so well rounded. Like I could have just like gone on social media to go follow them, like they're real people. And the magic system that Fonda Lee created is just so unique and fun. And I love Asian, Japanese, whatever, inspired. That sounded mean, whatever. I love like Asian inspired culture books, I guess. Not like all exclusively or anything, but I do enjoy that as aspect to this book as well. And just, wow. Jade Legacy ended so powerfully. I like, in a lot of ways I'm not going to mention. I just feel like it just finished the series in a way that made me love it even more. Yeah, I really loved it. I feel like I feel like I want to say so much more because I loved it so much. And I think that the reason why this was number 1 instead of Divine Rivals was because it is a part of a trilogy in the end of it. And so like I knew just fully like the entire series was like top of the top for me. And Divine Rivals does still have the second half of the duology to come out. And hopefully like that doesn't ruin it for me. Hopefully it's just as good as the other one.
Yeah, if it ruins it, that's going to be a hard letdown.
I know.
Because you loved it so much.
I did. So that is part of the reason why I chose Jade Legacy as number 1 instead of Divine Rivals, but they were very close. Yeah, those are my top 5 books for 2023. Or our top 5 books for 2023. So now that we're wrapping up this year, we're in December, looking into 2024. What do we want to read next year? What do we want to do for our reading goals next year? And so my first reading goal is... What is my first reading goal? My first reading goal that I have for 2024 is one that has really stressed me out, I would say a little, in 2023, is to diminish my physical TBR because, like we've said before, reading books and buying books are 2 different hobbies, but we might take a break from one of those hobbies if you could guess what one of them are next year.
Yeah, we're gonna need to.
We'll make a video about our full physical TBR, and that will come. But I'm so excited to get through so many books that I own because I look at my TBR shelf and I immediately want to read so many of them. It's stressful. But that's my number 1 goal for 2024.
My number 1 goal is pretty much in the same vein. It's similar. The way I worded it was read pretty much only books that I own or continuations of series if I don't own it already. Yeah. So basically say the only books that I want to buy next year are books that I've already set in my mind that I'm going to buy. I know are coming out and be new releases, or books that have come out already but I have not finished. Or I need to read them to finish a series.
Yeah, I agree, because like I'm in the middle of that Throne of Glass series and it's getting really good, and I'm not gonna not finish that because we don't have those books yet.
And I'm in the middle of innumerable series. I literally have no idea how many series I'm in the middle of.
We're so different.
Well, actually, there's a couple series that I haven't even started yet, but I know that I'm gonna start next year. And so,
which ones?
Kings of the Wild.
Oh yeah.
The Joe Abercrombie, Malice, the Faithful and the Fallen. The Lycanius, Akatar. Well, we own all those. Yeah. The Covenant of Steel and the Powder Mage trilogy.
Just a few of them.
Just a few. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're a little opposite in that I can just power through a series and stay in that world and stay with those characters. And I want to do that with Throne of Glass because I'm enjoying it so much right now. And I think I will do that, except taking a break for like Ruthless Vows. But he wants to like
I can't do it.
Have fresh worlds.
my ADD brain can't handle it. I will get bored so quickly. I have to jump around.
So my number 2 reading goal of 2024 is to finish the Stormlight Archive, the books that are currently out. So that way I can finish the series when the new book comes out in November. And he better not change the date on it because I'm going to read Those Chonkers, which I already started. I always mix up the second and the third one. I already started Words of Radiance. I'm on like chapter 5. So in all encompassment, in all like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not far into that book. Mostly I just listen to it on my drive back and forth from work, which is not a long commute. And then when I'm walking Ellie. And so I'm not very far into it yet, but I do want to be caught up with that. So when the 5th book of the Stormlight Archive comes out in November 2024, please don't change the date on that, Brandon Sanderson, because we don't want to have to wait for it any longer. Please. Okay, thank you. I want to be ready to read it on release time with Matt so we can talk about it and do a video hopefully.
And I also want her to do that so that I don't have to reread and I can just have her give me the highlights of the series.
Yeah, which I love because I'm reading through it and I can tell him everything that's happening and he's like, oh yeah, and we can talk about it. Well, he has to be careful what he says because...
Yeah, I don't say anything. I let her do all the talking.
And he's just like...
Like, yeah. The second goal that I have for 2024 is to try some classic literature again. I tried at least one classic this year, and so it was at the end of the reading out of my comfort zone. And I think that was like just the straw that broke the camel's back. Like I couldn't
power through.
Yeah, I couldn't power through at the moment. I needed something in my comfort zone, like we were talking about. So maybe I'll try that same classic, but I do have some in mind that I want to try that have been on my like classic literature bucket list. That I feel like as a reader, there's a part of me that feels like I need to read them, which isn't true. You don't need to read anything unless you're like in a class or something. You should probably read what you're supposed to read for the class. Whatever. If you're reading for fun, you don't have to read anything.
Agreed.
You can read whatever you want. No one's making you read anything. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like there's something in me that says I need to read some of these books. Like 1984, Catch-22, Brave New World, Catcher in the Rye, just to name a couple. There's a list that's probably 4 times as long as that of books that I feel like I need to read if I'm going to call myself a reader. And I don't know what motivation I have that tells me that, but that is my reasoning for trying classics again.
Is that a new feeling that you've had?
No.
Or is that, I was going to say, maybe it's because... I like literary fiction.
No, that's something that I've always like. Yeah, in high school when I didn't like reading, I felt like I needed to read 1984.
Well, it's like
which I didn't read in school for whatever reason. I don't know why they didn't have that
on the curriculum.
Yeah.
Maybe like just in your mind, these are like the basis of like where these great books that we're reading now, these newer books are like coming from, even if it's literary fiction and fantasy.
I think to some degree. Because they're known as classics, I know that they've like stood the test of time.
True.
And so I feel like I need to know what that's about.
Yeah, like why?
Yeah.
Or do you disagree with?
Oh, well, I mean, there were a lot of classics that I read in school that I was like, why?
Yeah.
Not like, oh, why is this book so good? Why is it so highly acclaimed? Let me go find out. It was, why am I reading this crap?
Yeah.
It was whatever. Anyways, that's my second
Rabbit
goal.
hole. My third goal is also to read more literary fiction, general fiction books, because I really got away from that. 2023 was really me stepping into my fantasy era. I was really enjoying it. Like, I tried reading my father-in-law's I think it's his number one favorite book. I think he reread it and decided it was his favorite.
Was it the fine print?
The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I started that. And I was telling him, I was like, the story's good. I was like, I can't get into it because it's not fantasy right now. And I have been feeling that urge to read a little bit more literary fiction. So I probably will read your favorite book next year, Rudy. We'll talk about it.
So my third goal and the final goal of this video is one that we actually share. And we both want to upload more consistently on the channel. We really do enjoy talking about books, reading books, and getting to engage with you guys on here, on social media. There have just been, admittedly, it's been laziness on kind of my part with editing, because I do all the editing. Shawnee does the thumbnails and looks beautiful on screen. That's her job, and she does amazing at it.
Thanks.
But yeah, I do all the editing, and so I think we've been wishy-washy on consistency this year because, well, the summer was hard for personal reasons that maybe one day we'll talk about, but not anytime soon. Some of it is like laziness on my part and like kind of lack of ideas. And so we've thrown around the idea of doing like monthly wrap-ups. And I think Shawnee talked about doing like a monthly vlog.
Yeah, I want to try for that.
Yeah. And I mean, who knows? Who knows what next year is going to look like? These are just kind of the goals that we set, and just kind of where we aim, and then we'll see where we end up. So yeah, thank you for joining us for 2023. Yay. And we are so excited for next year. We're excited to
read more books. Talk about them.
We are excited to read more books, but what I was going to say is we're excited to engage with you guys more and meet more of you guys.
Yeah.
And just all of the things about running this channel. It's been cooler than I expected. I expected for there to be a lot of mean people, and there hasn't really been any mean people so far in our YouTube
Thanks for being so nice, you guys.
And yeah, book community is just it's been so awesome to be a part and to start our own little corner of the internet. So that's going to be it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a like, and if you have not subscribed yet, you can hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell so that you can be notified when we upload, because if the consistency is there, you'll want to know for every video that we upload. What are some of your favorite books from this year?
Ooh, yeah, let us know.
What are your goals for next year? Are there books that we need to
do videos on?
What reviews do you want to see? You can throw all that down in the comments, and we will see you guys in 2024.
Yay.
Bye.